Hello Mech Warriors, and welcome back to the Mech Lab, where we're trying to be a better mech commander every day. Today's video is about the standard PPC, range bands 6, 12, 18, and a minimum range of 3. I'm gonna go over why I don't think that this weapon is outclassed by the ERPPC on the inner sphere side, and in fact why I think it is actually better. I'm not gonna discuss things like the snub-nose PPC or the clan ERPPC. Those are completely different kettles of fish. They're so different from the standard PPC that they're not really a fair comparison. Whereas the ERPPC on the inner sphere side still does 10 damage and it has similar range bands. The ERPPC has a battle value of 228, whereas the standard PPC has a battle value of 176. This is a battle value difference of 52, meaning that if you're taking 4 or 5 PPCs, you might be looking at as much as an extra 200, 260 battle value. And that really adds up and means that battle value wise, the ERPPC is really inefficient. But that's not the only problem with it. It's also extremely hot, meaning that you can only run 1, maybe 2 of these on most mechs. Unless you're dedicating 10 tons to heat sinks, you cannot run more than 2 ERPPCs. Even then, you're looking at an investment of 5 tons into heat sinks just so that you can run 2 ERPPCs. Whereas with a standard PPC, you can run 2 of them on 10 double heat sinks, no problem. Meaning that using that battle value that you saved on the PPCs versus the ERPPCs, and using the heat sinking that you saved, you can take backup weapons like medium lasers or SRMs, or even small lasers to cover that range band that you have given up, that 1 to 3 minimum range where the PPC is a little bit less viable. Which is also awesome because the PPC lines up really well with range 6, where medium lasers and SRMs want to be, and you can easily just turn one PPC off and fire those weapons instead. If you've got, say, 3 medium lasers, that's going to line up really nicely with that 10 heat that the PPC causes. That's not to say that you can't make a good bracket fire mech with ERPPCs. It just means that they're a little bit less efficient. So I've got here the Awesome 9M and the Awesome 9Q, but they're not a great comparison to one another, and it's mainly because of the battle value discount that the Awesome 9M gets for that XL engine. This thing deals 30 damage at long range, whereas the Awesome 9Q has 4 PPCs that it can fire at that range 12. Range 12 is a decent range band to have on a support mech, especially if it's a really tanky support mech like the Awesome, because you want it using those armor plates. It's got almost 250 armor. You want it to be taking some shots. I've once again come and made a fantastic infographic for you guys. Please subscribe to the channel so that we can get to 1,000 subscribers and get monetized, and I can maybe, I don't know, buy some software or hire an artist or something. So I just wanted to show an example of why I don't think that the PPC is outmatched by other long-range weapons. So let's say you've got this situation here. There's a PPC carrier, LRM carrier in the back. These are the enemy support units. And then they've got 2 heavy mechs, maybe 2 cavalry mechs that are coming at you. What you want to do is not play into their hand and go and engage their mechs. You only have 1 support unit. You've got your Thunderbolt, which can fire at long range with that LRM-15. You've got a Jenner, you've got a Wolverine. These are mechs that want to fight at close range. You want to find a good place of cover instead of going and fighting them in their cover. You want to find another bush or, stand of trees or something, come back here, fight in that area. The Jenner can come around once these units engage, flank them on the side or in the back, but you want to bring them into your firing line. You want them to come to you. Stay at range 15 and beyond of the LRM carrier, PPC carrier, whatever they have that's long range. Maybe they've got an archer instead that's hanging out in the back with this LRM carrier as an escort. Stay out of range of these weapons. Just find a good place to hunker down, let them take their long-range shots at range 15 plus, and find a good place to fight from cover, and use that Awesome as your anchor. The Awesome is really slow. It doesn't want to move around. It wants to find a good spot with a forest and stay there, and just lay on with the PPCs every single round. Just to show you how incredibly expensive these ERPPCs are, I've made a custom here in Mech Lab. This is an awesome 9Q. I've just stripped out the standard PPCs, put in an extra heatsink, and added 3 ERPPCs. Now down here we've got 6 tons remaining, so it could take some close range weapons, but I just want to show you the battle value. 1853 to run 3 ERPPCs versus the awesome 9Q. It runs 1875 for 4 PPCs. It has 10 more damage, same armor. This thing is really points efficient. You're not going to find 40 damage for under 2k battle value on most other units, unless it's like laser boats, like medium lasers. You know, short range, yeah, you can get a 40 damage alpha strike, but with an effective range of 12, under 2000 battle value for 40 damage, that's pretty rare, especially in pinpoint damage. The awesome 9Q is an excellent mech, and it remains completely relevant all the way through to the clan invasion era and beyond. Jihad. You can run this thing in the Dark Age or the Ill Clan era, and it will still do just fine. It's gonna get outranged by enemy support units. But if you can use strategy and draw the enemy's close range brawlers in and let the awesome do its work, it's gonna pick people apart. Now, obviously, PPCs do have their problems. That minimum range is pretty killer if the enemy gets their units on top of you. You can't really do much to a light mech that is right in your face, but that's a problem that most support mechs have. Typically, they're gonna get behind you and you can't use your torso mounted weapons, which is where most mechs have their LRM support weapons and stuff like that. So an ERPPC mech isn't necessarily going to have a better time against these light mechs in that close range. Sure, the awesome has one ERPPC that it can fire in behind it, but look at this awesome 9M. It has most of its close range weapons are torso or head mounted. So if you're gonna run a PPC mech or lots of PPCs, I recommend finding something like an archer or a penetrator maybe that you can run alongside them and have them just stick close and be a support unit. They're gonna fire their slightly inefficient weapons, like the penetrator's got 2 ER large lasers. Those aren't fantastic, but it's 16 damage that you can throw down range every turn. And then if the enemy doesn't have those dangerous mobility units, maybe your cavalry and battle line take them out, then the penetrator can move forward and engage the enemy battle line as it's coming towards you. There's also the factor that if the enemy's sending a mobility unit into your rear line to deal with an awesome, it's going to have a couple of turns where it can fire all of those PPCs at you. Even if you've got 3 or 4 TMM, 4 PPCs is still going to be a threat. You know, you're going to be in that range 12, you're going to get into that range 6, and that's a dangerous place to be when there's 4 PPCs leveled at you. So be aware of the weaknesses, but also be aware of the fact that PPCs are still a great weapon in later eras. They're more of a brawler weapon, and bringing them on an awesome isn't actually necessarily what I would recommend. Here's the Thug 11E. This is a brawler that wants to march across the battlefield and blast enemy units with its PPCs and SRMs. Really tough. It does have explosive ammo, but it has case to mitigate the danger of that. This is what I would actually take it on. You want PPCs on a battle line unit, something that's going to march forward and it's going to use those PPCs at that close range, and then once things close to melee, it's still got those SRMs that it's going to blast you with. It's going to kick you with 80 tons worth of force. The Hatomato Chi is another good example of this. It's got a lot of medium pulse lasers. It wants to bring those to bear, but it's got those PPCs that it can use on the way in. Look, it's very cheap, 1627 for something with nearly 250 armor, that 4/6 movement profile. Yeah, the 18 single heat sinks aren't super efficient, but this is a decent bracket fire mech. Once it gets really close, it just turns the PPCs off and lays into you with the medium pulse lasers. This is the Alfar. This is a bit of a weird mech. 15 standard heat sinks, 583 movement profile. It's got that 1 PPC, and then it lays into you with medium lasers and SRM 6-pack. This is a great cavalry mech. It's got poke at medium to long range so it can skirmish, and then once there's an opening, it charges in, it lays into you with all of these weapons, and it even gets a discount on some of these weapons' battle value, which is one of the reasons why it's so cheap. Here's another great example. We've got the Griffin 2N and the Griffin 2N2. One has an ERPPC, the other has a standard PPC, and at 4.5, we're looking at 1606 battle value versus 1513. All of the tax that you're paying on this unit from the jump jets and the 5.8 movement ends up costing you almost 100 battle value for that slight increase in range and the removal of the minimum range. But this mech can't comfortably fire everything at close range while on the move, and cavalry mechs generally don't want to stand still. Whereas the Griffin 2N2 with the standard PPC can very comfortably jump behind something and unload all of its weapons. True, the PPC isn't going to be super accurate if you're at close range, but if you play that 3 range band, it's only at a -1, and you ended up paying a lot less battle value. It probably served the same function as the ERPPC on the way in, and you can much more comfortably fire all of the weapons at that medium skirmishing range of range 6 that this mech probably wants to stay at. It doesn't want to get in super close and face those medium pulse lasers, small lasers, all those kinds of things that might be brought against it. It wants to use its mobility and stay at a preferred range band where it's going to have an advantage. So in later eras, maybe you don't want to take the standard PPC on a support unit. It might be a little bit too much when you're facing things like Clan Large Pulse Lasers, Clan ER Large Lasers, Gauss Rifles. These kinds of things are going to cause you some problems because your support unit is going to get vastly outranged by the enemy units. But like in this example, if you're facing off against other inner sphere units and you want to draw in their battle line and zone out their support units and keep your own far back, that might be an okay way of doing things. Or taking it on cavalry mechs like the Griffin 2N2 is maybe a safer bet, since these mechs already want to get in fairly close. They want to get into that medium range band. I just think that too many people overlook the standard PPC and just want to use an ERPPC instead, and I don't think that that's always the correct choice. That's all I really wanted to say with this video. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me why I'm a blasphemer and the ERPPC is great. I personally think that it's actually a pretty bad weapon because of the extreme cost and heat inefficiency that it has. Leave a like while you're there, and please subscribe to the channel. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. That would be amazing. It'd be like a dream come true for me. I really appreciate all the support that everyone's given. So thank you very much, Mech Warriors. Stay safe out there and have a great day.